Hey guys, hello my homies of YouTube. Hey guys, I just wanted to do a little quick review of Star Trek Into Darkness. Just to warn you, this review will contain spoilers because I cannot keep my big mouth shut. Anyways, I went out to see the movie. Actually, I saw it twice in the last week or so. I was with my girlfriend. Yes, I have one. And she's been dying to see it because Benedict Cucumberpatch is in the movie and he plays as the villain. And the entire time in the theater, she was screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" It's like he's doing horrible stuff. He crushed a man's head, and you're like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" So apparently, I need to be utterly brutal in order to keep her with me. But anyways, the movie starts out kind of slow, kind of like, okay. Like, after the beginning part, before the title part, it's actually pretty funny. It goes to this little section in London where this guy gets basically morally compromised into causing a bombing, which I'm amazed. I'm so glad we gotten past that stupid little, "Oh my god, a tragedy just happened." If anything that could remotely remind someone of a tragedy, because the bombing looked like something, like a bigger scale version of the Boston bombing. But anyways, Benedict Cumberbatch, he did a great job as a villain, but he didn't, the only issue I had was his character did not act, in my opinion, wholly like Khan. There was a little something that Ricardo Montalban had in the original Khan, because, surprise, surprise, yes, the villain is Khan. Ricardo Montalban had this certain flair about him that Benedict Cumberbatch didn't have. Benedict Cumberbatch just came across as more of a, look at how my face looks like a beak when I make certain facial expressions. But anyways, yeah, but he was evil as hell, which I thought was awesome. But he didn't exactly do the whole, like, I'm gonna fight the protagonist. Sometimes they actually, what I liked about this movie is they actually had to use him to deal with another antagonist in the film. It was finally cool to see the Klingons. I don't know why people had such a big problem with the Klingons, and I also, I have mixed feelings about the whole thing of Benedict Cumberbatch's Khan in the first place, but not entirely based on the race or ethnicity thing, because if anybody has been paying attention, there are people all up in arms because a white person played as Khan, and Khan originally is supposed to be from India. So, but keep in mind that the original character was an Indian who was played by a Mexican. And hold on. Oh, of course I'm not going to burp when I'm about to stop. But anyways, I thought the movie was great. Really did. After the first 20 or so minutes, the pace really kept up. You really got in a sense that Kirk was really pissed at what he would later find out to be Khan did. We finally got a chance for Sulu to really kind of show himself, and they made allusion to, the whole, Sulu becomes a captain one day thing. But, whew, it's a fun movie. And they killed off a character, Captain Pike. Yes, I'm going to, flat out blurt out spoilers in case I haven't mentioned that already. Yes, they kill off Pike, so instead of being in a little chair where he's like, "Aw, boop, 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 boop," he is dead. But anyways, so Kirk is really pissed off about that, and I noticed this in the last JJ Abrams movie, though, seemed to focus a lot more on Spock than Kirk. I've noticed this, and I'm sure other people have noted this. I bet you somebody has. But it's a fun movie. I I keep saying it's a fun movie because that's its big strength, is that it's fun. A lot of stuff happens very quickly. Um, but there's also, for a movie with the name Star Trek Into Darkness, it isn't as dark as I thought it would be. I mean, I have to say that it was kind of disappointing. I know this is really horrible and sadistic of me, but remember the trailers had the image of, something that looked like the Enterprise crashing into Alcatraz and then dunking into the ocean and hitting San Francisco. I thought that was going to be the Enterprise. I thought it would have been so cool if the villain... Sorry, I was eating something before I got here. Oh, yeah. But anyways, but, I thought that would have made the emotional impact greater. Imagine if it happened in the middle of the movie. The bad guy hijacks the Enterprise, maybe escaping from Earth so he doesn't get caught. And before he, sneaks out, one thing he does is he hijacks the Enterprise and has it do a kamikaze attack on San Francisco. I thought that would have really riled up the main characters. I mean, that would have really just shook their world. And that was a big weakness, is when all is said and done, Kirk dies, and then he comes back to life. They do a scene reminiscent of The Wrath of Khan, when Spock died in that. But then, it was reversed, where Kirk is dying, Spock is alive. But that was probably one of my biggest complaints was the part where they decided to do something that has been joked about as an internet meme and everything else. You got Spock, he's really upset, and it was really good. I mean, really good stuff. I mean, but then he does a Khan, and it was hard to take that seriously. It's like the equivalent of the Star Wars no, from Episode 3. But I mean, other than that, it was really good. It seems like their big shtick with Spock is to make him, have some tragedy happen to him. Somebody he loves dies, and then he goes absolutely bonkers and becomes this like ass-kicking machine. It's kind of funny in a way, I mean, it's good, but I hope they don't do it in the next movie because it's getting tiresome. It is getting kind of like, okay, all right, you can't keep like having Spock become an emotional wreck every movie. But it was good. I thought, with the whole Benedict Cumberbatch thing, I think their biggest mistake was to make him Khan. I really think what they could have done is said, oh, why don't we just inject him with some blood from Khan's men that we found, but we're not going to wake them up. And then he'll want to wake them up and do all this stuff. They could have done so many things. But I have to say, Scotty was hilarious in this movie. He was a very funny character. He was very awkward. And before people get upset, Scotty was kind of a comedic character. He had depth to him. He had, humanity to him. But he had a certain quality about him that was always I don't know, I'm not going to say smug, but kind of a little bit goofy, but, not totally straight-laced. But he was still a funny character, and he had that little guy, I don't know what he is, what his name is, I think it starts with a K or something. And they had a great dynamic with that. Chekhov was kind of like, he was just there. Like the last movie. You could have gotten anyone. I did like the little gag of the whole, okay, put on a red shirt, and he's just like, I or whatever he said, I forget exactly. But anyways, so, I'm trying to think, is there anything I haven't touched yet? And of course my mind goes in the gutter when I say that. Oh yeah, and there were a lot of people upset about, Alice Eve playing as Carol Marcus because of that one scene where she's basically in what a woman would be wearing when she goes to the beach. Thank you very much. Stop getting so upset. Um, obviously, it's an illustration of Captain Kirk being the horny guy that he is. And obviously, like with the last movie, you see a Kirk that isn't as mature as the one you see in the television show and the movies. In the earlier movies, the first 6 movies. But you do see, like, he is, they're like, oh, learn some humility. And he had to freaking die to get humility, apparently. But, it showed, that scene did show him, checking her out, which, I'm not gonna lie, most guys do when they get a chance. It doesn't mean they think less of you. It's just a natural thing. It's called genetics. It's what's kept us alive. What's kept the human race around, and hopefully for millennia to come. But, anyways, and Spock and Uhura have their relationship issues, which I didn't get because she's all like, oh, you didn't think once about all the of all the feelings I have, if you would die. And it's like, he went in mortal danger countless times in the previous movie, and you didn't get this upset, but all of a sudden, because he was in a volcano, and for the for the convenience of the movie, you had to have this thing. And the arguments were funny, because she's sniping at him, and he acts totally oblivious to it, around the first third of the movie. But she seems to forget it at the end. She's like, oh, go get that bastard, I think, anyways, let me get back to Benedict Cumberbatch, according to my girlfriend, the most wonderful man in the world, who, hopefully she doesn't run off with, but I doubt it. But anyways, yeah, so he's pretty evil. He's pretty angry and everything, but he doesn't come across as the kind of anger that Khan had in the original Wrath of Khan movie, where there were parts where he just could not contain his glee at the fact that he was going to get revenge. This one is more calm. He's more methodical, if you can believe that. He does what he has to do to get his prize, to get this guy. But, I did think that, the whole revenge thing of, instead of having, I've done worse than kill you, I've hurt you, he just goes out and he's like, you should have let me sleep, snap, scene. But, anyways, I'm way over time. I'm probably gonna regret putting this video up like I do all my others. But anyways, I recommend people go see it if they enjoyed the last one. I think anyone who likes Star Trek or science fiction should give this movie a shot. If you haven't seen the last one, though, you need to see that one before this one, I think. I know I pointed out a whole bunch of nitpicks, but I think what was going for it was fun. And there were parts that actually, I think, worked. Minus the derailing with the Khan. But I would recommend this movie, as a summer action flick. It's not, cerebral like some of the previous ones. But for God's sake, they made a movie about saving humpback whales so that some giant tube couldn't wipe out the Earth. So give me a break. Remember, this is a franchise whose main character was played by William Shatner. How serious can it be? So get off your high horse, have a good time, and for what it's worth, I enjoyed it. I recommend it, but don't expect it to be a huge masterpiece. But I think it'll keep the franchise going, and I'm glad for that. And hopefully the next movie will be even better. So, anyways, I'll never do this again because I don't want to look like I'm as big a nerd as I am, but live long and prosper.